Review number 1. It's not a harsh by any stretch, this is a light/medium duty crock. I just pounded out some sauerkraut and didn't blow the bottom out of it, but the crock is a little thin when compared to my harsh crocks. In all fairness, it didn't cost anywhere near what I paid for my harshes. That being said, it is totally adequate, I'm just a snob. On the plus side, it doesn't weigh a ton, making it easy to handle. Its capacity for well-pounded kraut is right at 12 pounds before coring and trimming. The weight stones really need to be cut into 4 pieces rather than the 2-piece stones it came with. This would increase its capacity. Just don't fill the crock more than about 3/4 full and you will be okay, or do what I plan on doing, rock sawing them in half. A note to you beginners. For some reason nobody glazes their weight stones. These have a coarse texture that can harbor nasties. I always put mine in warm water and bring to a low simmer, turning off and letting stand till needed. I also wash the crock in very hot water, then scald the crock with boiling water that has cooled slightly. Yet I know that this is not a sterile process, but that's the instructions that came with my harshes. Now onto the water used to fill the airlock. Add about 1 tsp salt to the channel and add boiled cooled water. The high concentration of salt will inhibit any nasties from growing in the water. When you lift the lid to check on your goodies, a drop or 2 of sealing water will get into the crock. Better safe than sorry. I also cover the crock while fermenting to keep dust etc. out of the sealing water. I have never had a batch go bad using these precautions. So if you are thinking about trying your hand at fermentation pickling, this crock is a great piece to start with and not break the bank. For kraut, you will need a pounder. I used an old rolling pin with the handles cut off and a longer handle fitted to it, as my harshes are 1/5L. With this 5L crock, all you would have to do is cut off one handle. Just remember to saturate the pin with a good oil. I use olive oil on all my wood utensils. A slaw cutter is worth its weight, but the cabbage can be butchered with a knife, just takes longer. A good book on the subject is The Joy of Pickling by Linda Zdrich, available here at Amazon. Now that I am done blithering, go for it. Review number 2. I ordered 2 of these fermenters. For years I have been using the harsh 20L fermenters, but I wanted something a bit smaller. I ordered 2 10-liter fermenters and I couldn't be more pleased with them. The fit and finish, I think, is superior to the harsh. For the size of the crock, the handles are great. These fermenters are so beautiful you could use them as a centerpiece. I think these are perfect for a medium-sized batch, when you have made an experimental quart or gallon batch of something and decided it's a keeper and what to make more but don't want to overdo it. The price is excellent considering the quality of workmanship. I'm already considering buying a couple more. Review number 3. Pennsylvanians have a tradition of eating pork and sauerkraut on New Year's Day. It's for luck. The best sauerkraut is homemade. The tradition of making sauerkraut is passed on from generation to generation. It's most often supplied by an old-timer. The cabbage stomper was passed to me this year and I tried my hand at making sauerkraut for the first time. This fermentation pot works great. The instructions that are included are easy to understand and spot on for flavor and timing. After 8 weeks of having the cabbage and salt in the crock, I opened it to take a look. Beautiful. The water lock on the crock kept out the nasties, mold, etc., and the sauerkraut tasted great, literally mouth-watering, straight from the crock. I can't wait to serve this first batch for our New Year's Day dinner. Review number 4. I found this product to be worth the money. I like the size. I wouldn't want to get bigger. I have had a hard time fermenting with jars. This makes a much more consistent product. For me it has been a good investment. Review number 5. Okay, this 20L pot is air. Big. It's fairly heavy empty, and once you load it up it's very heavy. You will have roughly 40 pounds of added weight once you fill it up. I'm a pretty big guy. Hauling this around a lot by the tiny handles when it's loaded, no thanks. Plan ahead with this pot. If you need to move it a long distance without spilling, consider a cart of some sort. On the plus side, it's fine for put it on the back porch and let it do its thing in the fall. There is pretty much zero chance of the dogs or kids knocking it over. Even if you are a big eater, this will do a very adequate load of whatever you are making up. It says it's German style, but don't tell that to the kimchi. With a smaller pot, transferring the whole pot into the fridge is a practical approach. If you plan on doing that with this one, give it a try before you have a batch in it. With a smallish fridge, this is more a transfer to smaller containers gizmo. If you have a nice big commercial fridge, this transfers to the fridge fine. Would I make this part of the living room decorations? No. Would I do a batch in the living room? No again. Would I serve the guests direct from the pot? No. It's a utility pot for fermenting stuff in. Fine for its intended use. It'll probably last a very long time unless it gets dropped. If it gets dropped, I very much hope nobody has their foot in the way. Off-season storage wise, I put a plastic bag, dare I say garbage bag, over mine. It probably isn't needed, but it keeps the dust from piling up on it in the off-season. The only other thing about it is that the stones fit the pot. I find that sort of a well sure they do kind of thing. From reading reviews of other pots, apparently that's not always the case. This can be a good news / bad news sort of thing. If you tend to pack a pot very tight with stuff, the stones are a bit hard to fit in. With this pot, I would not worry about getting that last inch of stuff in. Bottom line, would I get this beast as my only pot? Probably not. I use the smaller ones more often than I use this one. This one is great when the garden is declared done for the season and you have a ton of stuff to process. It's also great when there is a deal too good to pass up at the produce stand / farmer's market and you are in the same situation. How many bushels of cucumbers did we get? Review number 1. It's not a harsh by any stretch, this is a light / medium duty crock. I just pounded out some sauerkraut and didn't blow the bottom out of it, but the crock is a little thin when compared to my harsh crocks. In all fairness, it didn't cost anywhere near what I paid for my harshes. That being said, it is totally adequate, I'm just a snob. On the plus side, it doesn't weigh a ton, making it easy to handle. Its capacity for well-pounded kraut is right at 12 pounds before coring and trimming. The weight stones really need to be cut into 4 pieces rather than the 2-piece stones it came with. This would increase its capacity. Just